want to be able to put 500,000 Africans to dignified employment and build a very strong infrastructure where creatives can thrive and not even have to get validated. You know, now there's right now a creative, when they win in their one market or they get a bit of fame, they have to go out of Africa to seek validation.
Like averagely, how many hours do you sleep?
For so many years, I used to do between 3, 4, 4.5. On a good day, I'll do a 5-hour sleep for many, many years. So recently, I'm very intentional. So I monitor my sleep patterns. Now I try and put in at least 4 onwards, 5, see if I can get it to 6. Yeah, but I used to be happy working on 3-hour sleep, but I think I was younger. I thought I was Superman. But now I know part of me being productive is actually resting enough and being intentional about resting. Before I used to have this, like I used to look at sleep as an inconvenience. Like you can work 2 in the morning, 3. The only reason you go to bed is because you have to be up at 6 because you have a meeting at 7. But I've now realized it wasn't a very smart move. Yeah, but sometimes I did that for so many years.
And you have 14 emails.
Yeah, about that, but I've given up a couple of the emails to the executive business assistants. So I have access to a few, maybe 4.
But for the longest time, I've known you to have one phone number.
I've never had 2 phones. Even when I've had 2 phones, one is always in the bag, and maybe a replacement phone or maybe a travel phone, but I've never been a 2 phone number. Now I have 2 numbers, but one Ugandan number and one foreign number. I have a UAE number, of course, for work-related things and for roaming purposes, yeah.
You turned 45 this year, and one of the entities for which you're known, Swangz Avenue, turns 18, comes of age. What are the emotions and reflections as you turn 45 and 18?
Me turning 45 and Swangz turning 18 around the same time, and Baz around 22. And a few months ago, Energy also celebrated a big milestone. But collectively, I feel grateful for a lot of things. But also, there's a lot of reflection. I've had a lot of reflection to do. As you grow through the different stages of the businesses from startup, because when we started Swangz, we didn't have much. We didn't have a blueprint. We didn't know what to do. We had to learn on job. So we've gone through the motions of that over the years to a point now where we are asking ourselves that the business is 18 years old, almost 2 decades. What are we doing to make sure it outlives us? So there's a lot of reflection, a lot of questions that we're asking ourselves. What are we doing to make sure that we are not just celebrated by the songs and the musicians and the artists, but have we left the industry better? When we stop running the business, is the industry stronger that a future Swangz operates in? Have we built the infrastructures for it to run beyond us? So a lot of reflections as we turned 18. Those are the questions I kept asking myself. And the same questions I've asked myself turning 40. Of course, with the feeling of, first, you're very grateful, your gratitude for the position you're in. Not many businesses are able to celebrate those years in business. You ask yourself and the team, what does that mean for the future of the people that work in the business and the future of the business itself?
Reading from your social media, you take us a different route. It's not the big celebration. For you, you anchor it on the people that have been part of this journey, more or less shaped the journey and the person that you've become. Could you give us a little of that, sprinkle some inspiration on people who have led you in different directions?
When you do business for as long as I have, and when you've lived for as long as I have, you interface with a lot of people on that journey. There's so many people that have come in contact with me over the years, some that have grown me, some that have challenged me, some that have built me, some have partnered, some have collaborated, and they all impact you in different ways. Even the ones that challenge you the most, that you look back and like, why did this person do this to me? I again look back with gratitude. I'm like, oh, I'm glad this person stole from me, because if they did not do that, then maybe I could have kept them around. When there's a lot more to steal, then they would have hurt me more. So there's always lessons everywhere you look. And then there are people that hold your hand when you're down. So you remember those people, that, this person was there for me when I needed some support. There are people that have taken an opportunity when you're down. You also need them. They're a reminder that not everyone is going to cheer you on. There are clients that take away business. There are lessons to learn there as well. Maybe you're not good enough. And we take the same attitude doing business. Like, we never play victims. First we ask ourselves, what have we done? What have we created? How did we end up in this situation? What was our role in this situation? So pretty much everyone that has come in contact with me doing business, I think has had a part. From producers to musicians, to investors, to partners, to family, like everyone has had a role. And one that I'm grateful for. There's nothing I regret on that journey.
You said something very important which resonates with quite a number of business entrepreneurs like yourself, someone who holds your hand when you're down. Who was that?
A lot of people have come through for me when situations look very dark and cloudy. I'll not even start naming names, because I think I live in a very friendly world. My world, I look at it as a friendly world. So even the ones that come off as not friendly, I look at them as friendly lessons. But a lot of people have come through for me. I have a smaller inner circle of friends. I don't want to run a risk of not mentioning some, because there are so many. But there are some that naturally, of course, come to the top of the list. One, say for instance, my mother. My mother was my first investor when she was also down, trying to find fees to pay for my tuition and this and that. And she invested even without her consent. She didn't even know she was an investor. But she was investing in education. And I looked at the runway left a year to graduate on both. And I figured, okay, how money stops coming after I graduate? Because then I need to find a job. But I wasn't sure the job is what was going to cut it. So I exited the year ahead so I can use the rest of the money for the year to invest in business. And that's what I did. And that's how she invested without her consent. Because I was receiving it as tuition, but then I would put it in my dance company. It was a gamble that didn't pay off in the short term, but paid off in the long term. So she's one of those people that top of mind, you're like, yeah, this one has always been there. Beyond her being a mother, she's always been there. Of course, my founders, my other founders, my co-founders in the different businesses, I've been blessed enough to choose good people. Like, for some reason, God gives me good people. and they tend to come through. And some awesome good friends, yeah. Of course, along the journey, there are some detractors, but I'm also grateful for them. Yeah.
Looking back from the days of Eclipse Dance Group to leading Live 54 today, which moments truly transformed you? Which experiences make Julius Kyazze, and which ones forced you to remake yourself?
Coming from a dance background.
Who taught you how to dance?
The funny part, people ask me about who taught me how to dance. But this is a funny story. When my mother was 9 months pregnant, my father took her out on a date. But it was the first go to a show, watch a concert. Now, this concert was for a guy who used to do a one-man show. I think people that are old enough would know. There was a guy who used to do a show, one man only with a ship. And he was only doing a full production, end-to-end, with a proper ship, like one goat ship. So he has his animal on stage and he does a full show. So my father took my mother to that show. So while my mother is at that show, she goes in labor. She enjoys the show and everything, and she's blasting, and I also decide I need to come out and join the party.
So the dancer is born.
They rush her out of the show at hospital, and I think a few minutes after I was born. So I feel like I've been born into this life. I was born in a show. It's the kind of life that I've ended up working in. But this is what dance trained me or shown me. So when you're a dancer, you have to show up, you have to rehearse, you have to respect routine, you have to know patterns, you have to understand teamwork, you have to understand that performance is not just creativity. Performance is, the audience is a part of that. How they receive your act is a part of that. So I had to learn all that through dance. And then as you start to grow, you realize, okay, now there's that part of dance, but also you have to learn the business around dance. That you understand you're not just dancing, you're dancing to reveal a brand, you're dancing to reveal a product, you're dancing to raise an emotion. There's so many lessons in there. And I did that at a young age. And I think I picked a lot of lessons from that. Like, for instance, when we went to Kenya, then you have to figure out, find accommodation, set up a company, get paid, and all that. So you have to figure it out. So dance, of all the things I've done, I feel like the dance group taught me the most.
What was it like going around, find your way around in Kenya as a dancer?
First, when I went to Kenya, I didn't know much about Kenya. The thing, again, that I'm grateful for is, you know, when you're younger, you don't fear as much. So I have always asked myself, okay, what's next? Like, every time I would do something as a team or would achieve something, I would be the first to ask, okay, what next? While we celebrate, what next? So after we did so well in Uganda, so I asked, okay, what next? Like, what do we do next? We've performed at the biggest stages in Uganda. Then what next? So then the answer that came to me was about Kenya. And I'd been to Kenya once before because Steve Jean had sent me to Kenya to visit, deliver something to John Raba. John Raba, the founder of Homeboys. I remember going to Homeboys and I was inspired. I was like, these guys, like, what is this? I remember I came back to Steve and I told Steve, I've seen what these guys have done. I think this is what we have to do with Feno. You know, long story short, yeah, I picked a lot of inspiration from that trip. And then ended up working with Nameless and Red Sun, through Bebe Cool a couple of times. So when I went there, the only people I knew was Nameless and Red Sun. And John Raba was a big boy who doesn't even remember me up to date because I was just a delivery guy. But I quickly had now to learn a lot of the stuff in that market. Register a company, do this, invoice, you know, also take care of other children. I was about 20, my early 20s, maybe 22, 21. And I'm looking after 15 teenagers, other people's children, in a foreign country. So there was a lot of growing up there. I think there are two stages in my life that taught me the most. That, and after my dad passed away, and then we had to figure it out with my mother. They were the two stages that I had to grow the most. Yeah, and maybe the phase I'm going through now also is teaching me a lot of lessons, a set of different lessons.
What are you going through?
Growth. I mean, I'm not 20 anymore, so the problems are different. As a 45-year-old, as a father, the problems change. The things you chase are different. At this age, you're not looking for applause as much. You worry about your children. You worry about society. You worry about the impact. You worry about the people. It's less about you now. When I was a dancer, I was worrying about 15 dancers. Right now, across the business, we employ over 400 people. Those are 400 families plus. That's over 1,000, 2,000 people. So a bad decision, keeping bad company around you, making the wrong calls on many things, does not only affect me, it affects almost 1,000 people and more. Now there is the sense of responsibility. When you're younger, you're thinking of, can I be seen? Can I be heard? Can I break through? Now you have a duty to the people that have believed in your promise and vision.
You sit at a table and in a place where you pour into others. Who pours into you?
The purpose, the job at hand, what I believe needs to be done. I believe what we do is very important. More important than what actually people can imagine. People look at what we do as entertainment, as they look at songs like Abadongo. They look at NRG as the crazy Gen Z kids. But these These are families. These are people with families. These are young people trying to make a living. Some of them are people rejected by the traditional system because of how brilliant they are, and the traditional system could not measure their brilliance. And our job has been to, all my job is to create an environment to allow them, and that is important. I feel that is important. The job to create an environment to allow young creatives be themselves and create and flourish and create a living and a beautiful life for themselves is important. And that's at the level of creating employment. There's even a bigger role to society on why what we do is as important as doctors, on why what we do could even potentially be more important than teachers. And as crazy as that might sound, for people especially that look at musicians as, it's just a musician, why are we paying them so much money? We are not in the, I don't see myself as a leader of a music industry or a music company or a player, a participant in entertainment. No, I look at our category as the reward industry. I work in the reward industry. The industry responsible for production. And it's production that is responsible for growth of a nation. Of course, in there, you want a productive workforce to be healthy, so there are things as important as health. But for you to be healthy and productive, you must rest. That's why you can't work Monday to Monday. That's why you work Monday to Friday, then take rest. For you to be productive, Monday to Friday. Now, how do you recharge? Your battery is to be productive. You can rest and take your mind off whatever it is that you did Monday to Friday. What do you do in that time? That is the industry I work in. The industry to reward your good work from Monday to Friday. That's why you want to play a song to relax. That's why you want to go to a club to have a good time, because you're rewarding a good job done. And for me to ensure that you're productive, to go back on Monday and be productive, that's the industry. That's how important our work is. To make sure you're rested, you're entertained, you know, your mind is taken off everything else. Like you yourself, you go to the band, when you get your salary at the end of the month, you know you did a good job. What do? It's an essential service. It's essential to production. And that's how we see it. What we do is important. It's that important. What musicians do, what painters do, what creative artists do, that industry is as important as healthcare. Because a not or a less rested society will be non-productive. Then it won't grow.
Also, your kind of position puts you in a place of hiring talent.
Yeah.
What do you look out for when you're hiring talent?
I hire for values and I train for skill, period. It's hard sometimes to measure the value in an interview or see if these people are aligned, but you do as much as you can. In terms of value alignment, sometimes you can smoke it out quickly. So we are clear on some of those values that we want in people, because we know if we create a good culture in our businesses, people can perform better as teams that are more aligned to the same values than a set of, you know, excellent, brilliant individuals whose values are not aligned with the organization values. So values is important on the things that we believe in, things like growth, things like integrity and stuff like that are more important than skill, because we can teach you or you can be taught, but we cannot teach you how not to tell lies. We cannot teach you how not to steal. If you're a thief, you're a thief. We are not in the business of turning you around. We're in the business of getting the best production value out of you for you to create a better life for yourself and your family. So we want to filter out and get the people that we are able to help and they're able to help us quickly, than now having to take on, you know, judicial issues or capacity or immoral or morality conversations. So we try and sieve that out at hiring. So yeah, I'm always sieving out for values first before skill.
I'll take you back a little bit. You see, you go to deliver something at the Homeboys, and you see something, you're inspired, you just feel something in you is burning. What did you see, and how much of that have you turned around?
So what I saw with Homeboys was an ecosystem in one market. So everything they struggled with, they created. They had the label side, they had the DJ side, which turned into the academy, the Institute of Technology. They called it the Homeboys Institute of Technology. Then they had an event side, then they had events production, then they had BTL, all under one roof, on one building. And for me, that was very inspiring. And I also knew it was built by DJs. Because John, I think, and his brother, the founders, come from a DJing background. So I could relate. I could see it's doable. The only difference maybe in how we've done it on our end, we didn't concentrate in one market, like what Homeboys had done in Kenya at the time. Our approach has been different. Picked a bit of inspiration, but ours are scaled on the continent and included maybe a couple of other things that are different approaches, but you find that we pretty much almost do the same things. We started an academy as well, not as something we saw from Homeboys, for instance, but out of need, and now it makes sense. I'm sure most of the ventures that they've ended up opening were out of need because of the nature of infrastructure when it comes to our industry on the continent. Half the stuff you have to create yourself to fix some of your problems. So also we invested in the academy because of that. So I'm sure Homeboys invested in a lot of the things they invested in out of need. They also ended up in radio at some point. Now it makes sense. We found ourselves in media. So yeah, that trip, yeah, triggered something.
Would you point at it as a turning point of sort?
I don't know if it was a turning point. I don't think I can put my finger to a turning point in life. I feel like I'm constantly evolving on a daily, and I'm a big learner. I pick inspiration from the most random of places and moments. I think I'm always learning, and I'm always learning. There's never one lesson. I'm always learning. I think maybe that's my superpower. I like to learn. I'm always learning. So I never said this is the moment. I know moments when I got ideas. I know moments when something ticked. But that is always happening, and that's always evolving. And also, of course, the struggle is now to try and calm the creative mind, because the business mind operates different. But the need now in what we do going forward, even in the past, was to realize that there's no shortage of creatives. There's only a need of people that do the business behind the creatives. And that's the path I decided to take. So sometimes the creative side tends to pop out, but then it's not structured. Then you calm it down and like, okay, can we put some structure to this? And that has continued to be my role across, even with my friends in the business. My conversation is always going to be, can you structure it? You know, can you make it a business? Can you get someone else to work in it? Can you explain it? Can it be sold without you? So I'm always asking myself that. I'm always asking my friends that. I'm always asking our business managers the same thing. Structure. Otherwise, creativity without structure is worthless. Yeah, it's just excitement. If you know, I'm creative, and you know, I did this, I did that. Yeah, tomorrow someone else is going to create better.
You're into the entertainment business. How easy or otherwise has it been for you to get your partners to appreciate this and in effect help them appreciate it and then manage the partnerships?
So to get people to appreciate what we do, to appreciate the industry and the potential that it has not been easy, and we know it's going to continue being difficult. To explain it to not just business partners, but even regulators, tax bodies. And this is not unique to just Uganda, it's everywhere. The general public, or the appreciation of the industry by the general public still has a long way to go. They've started to catch up. The general public has started to catch up on the appreciation, the regulators have not caught up. Like in Uganda, you realize now there's a crackdown on creatives and their earnings and everything. But then you see a tax body that is only focused on collection, but is not objective enough to first step back and say, okay, there's an opportunity to collect here, but how do we collect without killing this outlet? How do we even make sure it gives us more? Can we engage the people that have been running it in a structured way? Can we have a conversation with them? Can we learn how to make it better? That never happens. The tax body will just say, oh, you guys are making money? Okay, now we need money. So you see there's a disconnect between the collector and the regulator and the government, and the government says we want to help creatives, but then the other hand is now killing the creatives, like it's a mess. So there's work to be done on our end as creatives to educate the regulators, to educate further the masses. Again, the other bigger disconnect is education. I see people selling land, and this happens in all our communities. You see a parent, there's a gentleman who was selling me a piece of land in our village. And I bought some land from him, like small plots, neighbors in the village. Say, can I? So this time I asked him, but Mzee Masolo, you're almost running out of your land. Why are you selling this one? He's like, my daughter is going to do exams, so he's selling his land about 10 million shillings, $2,800. Because he needs to pay for some exams that the kid is going to do. And so I asked the old man, what course is the girl going to do? The girl is doing nursing, a diploma in nursing and all that. Okay, so I do the maths quickly, and it just doesn't make sense. So I check how much are these kids paid after they get out of uni. And they're paid almost $100, about $400,000, before they take off their costs. Now, when you do the math and take off costs and everything, that investment is not a good investment. Like if you're flipping a 10 million asset, and you're not even making this 10 million in 10 years, this girl will never make that money in 10 years, which means the choice of the path of education is wrong, because the focus is just on getting the piece of paper. Yet the focus should be, what do we do at the end of the training? Do you have employment? Will you be able to take care of your family? We're asking the wrong questions. We're asking, do you have a degree? Instead of asking, what can you do? When you get the kids that are coming out of university, we employ them all the time. They cannot do anything. Or they'll tell you, I have a degree. But when you ask them, what is it that you can do? They don't know what they can do. So we're asking the wrong questions. So there's a big disconnect. And what people haven't realized is that the creative industry could take lead in fixing that problem. Instead of wasting so many years at university doing things that no one will ever ask you for, because we forget that the unis are also universities. Sometimes we forget that we are borrowing and selling property to send to another business, and we are not questioning the other business if it's giving us value. Education in some of our, and not all education, I'm pro-education, I'm pro-learning, but we should question the people we pay or the institutions we pay. Are we getting value? Are these kids getting employed? Are they getting work? Are they adding value to the marketplace? And when you question, if we audit and ask that question and audit the output of these unis, I don't think we'll like that picture. And it's the same systems that will continue to disregard the vacation training opportunities that the creative industry offers. Now, you come to our side. You even look at the Swangz Creative Academy, for instance. The last cohort, we had 100 people graduate. I posted it 24 hours after the graduation. I posted pictures of the graduation. And a lot of people, friends from the agency world, creatives, media, reached out for placement. Like, we need to employ a content creator, we need an editor, we need this. So we had so many jobs. I forward that to the head of academy and tell him, oh, guess how many jobs I have? I have people waiting to hire these kids. This is exciting. She tells me, none of them is available. I'm like, what do you mean? They graduated yesterday. Like, they're all gone. They're all employed.
Oh.
This is a true story. Like, you go and ask the kids that have gone through our creative training, and they get work because the landscape has changed. And we're still asking the wrong question. Do you have a degree? The question should be, what are you able to do? So we need to embrace, you don't have to do the creative academy route, but I feel like where we're headed is more skills-based. It's the biggest problem we have on our side. We don't have enough people that understand what we do, so which means we don't have enough supply of that skill. So we can't grow as fast because not many people, and the education system hasn't caught up with that. You know, we're still in school learning the Canadian prairies, and you wonder, why are you teaching a kid in Africa about the Canadian prairies? I know you can make a case for it, I understand. But is that the best use of our time? Is that the problem we must learn about? If we are not lumbering in Uganda, why are we learning about lumbering? Can we learn about the things that we need to learn about? Those are the questions we need to ask. So those are the challenges, trying to explain to investors, regulators, banks, everyone, that what we do actually gives results. You're consuming it even when you don't know. Everyone consumes our product even when they don't know. When you're sad, you're heartbroken, you go to the can, turn on a song, you'll hear Azawi sing Bamutu Tedda. When you're happy, you're telling a girl to haven't heard from you, I wish I'd heard from you, you send a daily bundle. Just, I haven't gotten a daily bundle of you today. Everyone is spending on this industry, and no one thinks they should train their children to go and also make a bit of money from it. They still think they should go and learn Canadian prairies. So it's been tougher to explain that to even government, that you can actually work with us and we skill young people and they get to work for themselves. There's a demand for content globally. African stories have not been told.
Which African story do you want to tell at this point?
I mean, there's many African stories I wish to take part in telling at one point in life. Like for instance, I think some of the interesting stories that I hope people can dig into and tell us the other side. I'm not advocating that what these people did is right, but I think it's just fair that we hear the whole story. Like in Uganda, we've had a lot of stories around Kabaka Mwanga. I want to hear more about Kabaka Mwanga because you hear, snippets of some of his brilliance. Is there something you can learn from him or from his mistakes? Can someone tell that story? I feel there's so much we don't know. His relationship with the Uganda matters. Have we known the entire story? What motivated his actions? Is there something we can learn from that to avoid a repeat of it? The stories from my own kingdom, Kabaka Mutesa, the entire lineage, the stories from Kabalega and Kenyatta, I want to know that story. I've heard the stories about that, how the Kenyattas come from Bunyoro and all that. There's so many African stories that have not been told that I want to hear about. I want to understand how people in Zambia are hearing my language in Buganda. Africa is full of these amazing stories, rich dynasties, kingdoms, practices, rituals, the things that other societies came and looked at and called witchcraft. Maybe we need to understand that craft better, not the wrong craft, but how are these people, praising God? I feel like Africa is so rich with our stories of heritage, whether we think they are wrong or bad, but our stories have not been told. We've consumed everyone else's stories. The ones that are told about Africa, they've not been told by us. So I feel there's an opportunity for young people to tap into the understanding of the old patrons before they leave us, to tell those stories in a modern way. Maybe not everything is going to be written in a book. Maybe now it will be TikTok, small bites about the Karamajong and how they marry their wives. How can a child in Barara not know that story, yet they can unpack for you the British monarchy and their ancestors and everything? It's a bit of a shame. Like how am I able to explain the Spanish monarchy and I can't explain my Kikuyu neighbors? I think there's so much we can still do. There's so much to be done.
Still Africa, you are at an intersection with a platform that seems to bring together creatives through Live 54. Where are you with that, and where are you heading with that?
So Live 54 starts at a point when we realized our different businesses, our entities are stronger every time they work together. We've built entities around music, around festivals, around content creators, influencers, media properties. We've built entities around the entire landscape of creativity. So with Live 54, what we've done, or what we decided to do, is get those capabilities from the different entities and put them under one platform to allow for creatives to operate in different markets at scale. And we've started to build that, and it's taken shape. Live 54 is a full year now. We just had our board meeting, our first annual board meeting. It's taken shape. You know, the results are very evident. Scale will only be easier through structuring that way, through aligning objectives, through aligning talent, through building standardized systems to allow for what we want to unpack. Can we operate on the continent borderless? Can we allow creatives to go from one country and do this and do that? Can we be able to do a 10-city tour on the continent? Can we take Joshua Barak on a 5 African city tour? Can we take Burna Boy from Lagos to Accra to Ghana to wherever in one conversation, where we can handle media, we can handle production, where we can handle content creation? So the ecosystem we built is very unique even to replicate, because it's been built over 20 years. So we are getting our 20-year-old businesses to build Africa's first vertically integrated ecosystem that can make that possible, where you can speak to us, and we have boots on ground in several African countries to make a tour possible, a speaking engagement, a campaign. We can roll out a brand right now in several markets at a go. We can launch a campaign in different markets at the same time. You can brief us in one room and we can activate in multiple markets, or we can broadcast a message. And that's what we want to build. Right now we are 6-7 countries. The ambition is the entire continent. Let's see how far we can take in the next 5 years.
What's keeping you awake at this point in your life?
My priorities are in this order. My love or responsibility and relationship to God, that will get me in the morning to say prayer or remember who I am. So literally that can keep you awake. That relationship, because it also allows you to live or not. So literally, it keeps you awake. The things that keep me awake out of choice is my family, my children. What kind of example do I want to set for them? Will they be proud of me, not for the businesses I've built, or not only for the businesses I've built, but for the man I become while doing that? So I measure a lot of the things I do against that. Against what they'll look at and say, okay, this is what our father did, but also this is what he became doing. And is it something we are happy about? Or a bigger society, how much impact have you created? How have you impacted, or how have the businesses impacted what we've done? Again, I said God, family, and now what we do as business. When I started again, as a young man, it's about me proving a point to my mother that you can still drop out of school and still make it. Go against the traditional education system and still make it. Then as you grow, at some point then it becomes, let me prove to this girl, let me prove to this world, let me prove to so-and-so that I can make a bit of money. Then you make a bit of money. But now, and I could say this to success, I could answer the same question if it was about success. Now that definition is different. Now the definition of what keeps me awake at night, or what success would look like in that picture, is the business that we've built. Can it run without me? Can it continue while I'm gone? One. Then two, the people that work in that business, can they build themselves beautiful lives out of those businesses? Then the companies that we build, or the institutions that we build, would they leave this industry a better place because they existed? Will this industry be better because I played a part in it? And then most importantly, it's now my children. Will I, whatever I've built, would they be proud of not just that, but the man I became doing that? So that keeps me awake at night. It's those things that keep me awake at night.
If there is one person, dead or alive, you would invite for a cup of coffee or tea, who would it be and what would you talk about?
I can't believe I never thought about a question like this. Who would it be that I want to meet, dead or alive? My father. Yeah, my father. No doubt. No one else. No one else.
What would you talk about?
I think I would have a lot of questions for my father. My father died when I was about 11. I was a young boy. One, I would like to ask him, because I was the youngest. He had not seen me for long. I was living with my mother. I'd like to know why he thought I'll be a good leader of the family. And he picked his youngest son to be his heir. I would ask him that. What did he see at that point? Because growing up, I always thought, this man is mad. Why wouldn't he ask the other one? Why didn't he? You start to get the answers as you grow. Also, having your father around. You know, when you're younger, you think you're clever. You think you know everything. But as you grow and you also become a father, you realize that, okay, now I think I understand why dad did this. I understand why he made this choice. Now I feel this is the time I would be running to him and asking him, okay, why did you do this? And as a result, what I've done, because I don't have my father to run to now and ask him, I don't want my kids to deal with that. So I write my children future letters. I document as much as I can for my children. I write them letters when I'm dealing with difficult things. I tell them about them, and I tell them about the decision. That this is a decision I've made. Based on this, dealing with this, based on the information I have, this is what I don't know what will happen with it, but this decision I've made is anchored in this. I think it will be very powerful when my children grow. Not as an instruction on how to live life, but as an additional voice. When they wonder, what would my father have done? They'll find it.
Are you planning on a book?
I think I'll write a couple of books, not one. I think I'll write a couple of books. I love to write. And even every time people tell me, oh, will you ever write a book? Yes, I've written Buzz Magazine for many years. Everyone has read my book, they just don't realize. For the first years when I started Buzz Magazine, I was the only writer. I was the photographer, I was the writer, I was everything. Editorial team had about 10, 15 people, but I was the only one. But I wanted to look big. So will I write a book? I think I've written so many. I just took a break. But in the format that everyone expects, yes. I've written something. I've written like 2 books halfway. Out of boredom on vacation, then let me write, because I love to write. So one of the books, one book is called The Business of Marriage. It's written halfway. Then the other book is about my lessons building around Africa and businesses. Like a founder's journal, similar to what I posted on my 45th. It's most likely it will be turned into a full book. Yeah.
Pick a little bit for us into the business of marriage.
The business of marriage. In the book, the context or the thinking or the background why I wanted to endeavor and write something on marriage. One, because I've done business over 2 decades. So I felt I'm an authority to talk about business. But I've also been married over 10 years. But we know the insight at the rate at which marriages are failing, almost 50%. Business, on the other hand, seems to have a better rate, of course with some exceptions, of survival. And I thought, as a businessman who's built businesses over time, small business and fairly seen some success, there are practices that I thought we could borrow from businesses and take to marriages, and maybe we can improve the chances of marriages surviving if we look at them with that kind of lens. And when you say business, not just money, it's accountability. Because in business, there's a level of accountability. You meet a business partner and you agree, I'll do ABCD, you do ABCD, and that's the partnership. Unlike in marriage, it is there, it's assumed, but it has no repercussions or accountability or guardrails. You know, you can still get married and not provide, and you still be married. Even when you promise you provide. So it's the level of, so it's those little tricks. And some of the things I wanted to propose in the book, I propose actually in the book, is the idea of business reviews and marriage reviews. And this is something I used to use in my marriage a lot. So in businesses, we review the business every quarter. What did we set out to do this month? What did we set out to do this year? How far have we gone? How are we looking? I believe that homes should be run the same way, to a certain extent. I believe that loving couples should sit and agree on the direction of the home, especially the father. Give the direction of the family, where you're headed. That's where you're head of the family. You give direction. Now, once you give that direction, then you have an action plan, that this year we shall do this. And it can be at different fronts. It can be on a commercial front, on a romantic front, on children, and many, many things. So once you agree on those things, and it could be behavior. You could be talking to your spouse that, sometimes I don't like it when you raise your voice, sometimes. Like, it makes you feel bad. Did I? Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'll work on it. But it's not just about calling faults. It's also about saying, I like it when you kiss my palms. It makes me feel a certain way. I'm just giving an example. So then you take that as feedback. Oh, she likes it every time I kiss her palms. So then you do more of that. So what you're doing is highlighting the things that are working and highlighting the things that are not working and dialing them down on the ones that are not working and dialing up the ones that are working. That's what it is. I think marriages can be stronger with that kind of interaction every now and then, every 3 months. But that's a business practice that you can bring into marriage and improve marriage. Planning, strategy, education, same things. That's what that book is about.
Who or where is your place of peace?
My children. My place of peace is my children. Where my kids are is my place of peace.
There's the notion of business and there's the notion of friendship. You are in a business with Azawi, but I know it for a fact that you're also friends. Where do you draw the lines?
I like to do business with people that I like. It's always easier, because chances are high that you'll end up being friends out of doing business. So and I know there's this, I don't have to like you to work with you. I think it's easier if you work with people that you like. So I've been lucky and blessed that most of the people that I work with I like. We become friends at deeper levels than just work. Like you've given an example of Azawi. It's not even just Azawi, even Winnie. Like we check on each other even when it's not work. Like, I haven't heard from you in a while. Are you okay?
You're still alive.
Hey, that I'm all right. And lately I try to be more intentional because with the musicians that, for instance, we work with, it's not just the music relationship. We become like friends. So now I'm intentional to even check on them as their friend, because they are people and teams that take care of their business. But we still get time, for instance, with Azawi, we catch up every now and a while and go for a drink and chill and drink some tea and relax. Vinka, we see each other quite a lot. When I come to the office, Vinka most times she'll be at the office. Winnie, we call, check in. Are you okay? You haven't checked on me in a while. Sometimes she'll be like that. Sometimes we check on her. So we have, same with even people that are not performing musicians. I have a fairly good relationship with the people I work with. I try to weed out anyone who tries to contaminate the culture and environment of our workspaces. There are people that always come in and then they are picking fights here and then they are not productive and all that. Those ones we cut off quickly as I tell the GMs, as quickly as you find someone who's very chaotic and just, loves a bad environment, just cut them off. It doesn't matter how brilliant they are. They will contaminate the team. Yeah.
What's on your wish list?
Good health for my children. Good health generally for me as well. I want to put 500,000 Africans to work in the creative industry through our different businesses. Collectively, what we do, we want to be able to put 500,000 Africans to dignified employment and build a very strong infrastructure where creatives can thrive and not even have to get validated. Now there's right now a creative, when they win in their one market or they get a bit of fame, they have to go out of Africa to seek validation. So I wish for future, and this is a future that I wish Swangz to take a part in, a future that Life 54 should take part in, or should drive or be a part of, where creatives can tour and work across different African markets without feeling the need to seek approval from Europe or the US. Like, you should be able to build your fandom on the continent because it's there. The people are there to consume your art, the people are there to consume your craft. We're just lacking the infrastructure and critical mass of people wanting to deliver that. We do not have a lack of talent. We just have a lack of enough people to build the business, the structures behind the talent. So I wish for that future.